Hello and welcome to the 2022 Transform Our World Youth Summit. My name is Claire.
And my name is Hannah.
And we will be hosting today's session, What Does Power Mean to Me? You can engage and interact with this session by using the Slido function on your screens. A member of the Transform Our World team is on hand to answer any questions in the chat that you might have. But before we begin, it would be great to get an idea of who is in the virtual room.
So I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Hannah and I am the Programs Coordinator at Force of Nature. We are a youth nonprofit mobilising mindsets for climate action. From students to CEOs, we believe that mindset is at the heart of taking action in the face of the climate crisis. And we do this through workshops, training programs, and consulting with businesses.
And I'm Claire, you've seen me already, but I am the Senior Programme Manager of Youth and Schools at Global Action Plan. And Global Action Plan is an environmental charity that takes action on the systems that harm us and our planet.
So it would be great to hear from you. Please put in the chat your name, your pronouns, and how you are feeling about today's session. Brilliant. Thank you everyone for putting your name in the chat, and we can begin the presentation. So this year's Transform Our World Youth Summit has been about exploring what power is, how it's used in different ways, and how we are all have power within us that we can use to create a better world. And there are many ways to define power, and I'm going to go through some on the screen. So power can look like political power, it can look like community care, it can look like power through knowledge, it can look like using your voice, it can also look like positions of power, and then also looking at teamwork. So we may not realize it, but power is a value and can influence the way we live. We all hold many values and place importance on some more than others at different times in our lives. This online session will look at the values we all hold and how values affect our actions and behaviours. But before we explore how power as a value can inform how we interact with the world, let's explore what a value is. So, what do we mean by values? Please talk to the person next to you or write down, if you feel more comfortable, what you think a value is. And we're going to give you about 30 seconds to talk to the person next to you or write this down. Okay, wonderful. I hope everyone's had a chance to write down what values mean to them. So we will move on to the next slide on why values are important. Your discussions or moment of reflection might have brought you to this definition. Values are the things that we hold to be important, and the values that you hold can really show themselves in your everyday life. I'm now going to pass over to my co-host Claire to discuss why we hold certain values as important.
Thank you, Hannah. So we're going to have a look at three pictures on this screen. You'll see three groups of people. So on the first, on the left-hand side, you'll see a group huddled round a table. You might recognise them from watching films when you were young. They are the Disney villains, okay? And they'll do anything that they can to achieve money and power and status, and nobody will get in their way. Now, next on screen, we have a picture of Marcus Rashford, the England and Manchester United footballer. And I'm sure you'll know him from the campaign that he started, which led to the government changing its mind about free food vouchers for families that struggle to afford meals. And what Marcus did is he used his own experience in childhood and his position to create really powerful changes for good. And then I'm sure we'll all be familiar with the young climate activist Greta Thunberg on the right-hand side, who started the schools strike for climate movement, and her drive for a fairer, more sustainable, greener future to address the issue of climate change. So, of these three that you can see on screen, I've got a question for you to discuss. So, looking at these three pictures, what values might they hold? So, we've learned that values are the things we hold to be important, so most important to us. So, what values do you think that these three pictures, the people in these three pictures, hold? And we'll give you 30 seconds to discuss that with the person sitting next to you. Or if you'd prefer, or if you're watching by yourself, just write down on a bit of paper, make some notes. What values do you think that these people might hold? Great. So hopefully you've discovered that there are many different values and different motivations to do things. Different values motivate different actions and behaviours. But if we look at the first picture there, and if we think about which of these pictures are potentially hold power as the most important thing to them, you'll probably have found that it's the Disney the Disney villains who are most motivated by power. Now, we all have power as a value within us, but we can use power in different ways. And being driven by power for yourself versus using your power as a force for good is a very different thing, and we need to be careful about how we use our power. Now, with Marcus and Greta, they've done some incredible things and made some incredible changes, but might not necessarily be driven by power as their end goal or their key value. But they have used power to make positive changes and create a better world. Motivating them might be caring for others, or social justice, or fairness, or caring for the environment. So with that in mind, we're going to have a think about what values we think that people need to hold as important to create a better world.
Thank you, Claire. So on the screen here are 25 different values, and there are many, many more. And these are values that we all have within us, but at times we place more importance on some than others. And there are really no right or wrong values. So, if you can, choose 3 values you think people need to hold as important to create a better world. You can write this in the chat and we will give you another 30 seconds to do so. Okay, thank you everyone for sharing.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Hannah. Now, on screen here, we've got a selection of some of the values that many of you feel are important to create a better world. So we have things like being helpful, social justice, protecting the environment, equality, a world at peace, a world of beauty, unity with nature, being honest, being wise, being responsible, and friendship. So fantastic to see so many of you contribute to that. Thank you very much. Now, these values that you see on screen here are we call these compassionate values or bigger than self values because we're thinking about the world around us. And we all hold all of the values that we just saw on screen. But it's usually these compassionate ones that we all have in common. And humans are very caring by nature. So we all hold all these values. But at times we place more importance on some than others. And it's hard for us to use our compassionate values all the time. But sometimes if we're doing activities such as this, then we'll be placing more importance on them. So imagine you've just created a school garden with your classmates. You've been busy digging and working with other people. You've been using teamwork and using your values of helping out, protecting nature, and a world of beauty. Now, what this does is you start to place more importance on those compassionate values that we all have. And in your mind, your compassionate values start to grow. So they start to grow. And as your compassionate values grow and become more important, other values, your self-interested values, like maybe wealth and power for yourself, become smaller and your compassionate values grow. But then after school, if you're headed home and on your mobile phone, you might be scrolling on Instagram or checking Twitter or Facebook, and you might see a Shein haul for new clothes or an advert for the new iPhone. And those other values, your self-interested values, where you're maybe placing more importance on image or what you look like, they'll start to become more important as you're scrolling through your phone and seeing these adverts. And then what that does, if we look at what that does inside us, is when we're looking at adverts and bombarded by adverts on our phone, is our self-interested values. So when we're thinking about ourselves more, they start to grow. So as we scroll through these things, what happens is that our compassionate values start to get squashed down because we're no longer placing importance on them. And our self-interested values, the ones that are thinking about what we look like or what clothes we need to wear, they start to grow. Because those types of values you can't be putting importance on all your values at the same time. Now, if you get home after that and you sit down and you watch the brand new Frozen Planet 2 and you think, wow, the world is amazing and we really need to do all we can to protect it, then what's happening there is that your compassionate values are starting to work again. So in your mind, the compassionate values are becoming more and more important, and they'll grow and grow and grow as your self-interested values become smaller. And we can see that in the next picture here. You'll see it on screen as your self-interested values become smaller, and those compassionate values that we so need to create a better world become bigger. And the really exciting thing about values is that the more you exercise and use a muscle, the stronger it becomes. And values are just like muscles. So if you keep using your compassionate values, the stronger and stronger it will become, and the more importance you'll place on it. And we all have the power in us to create a better world by using our compassionate values. And that's a different type of power to the power that maybe we saw with the Disney villains, who will do anything that they can to get all the money and wealth and power, and nobody will get in their way. So we're talking about a different, really, really exciting type of power here that depends on community. So your compassionate values are powerful, and I'm going to pass on to Hannah now to tell us just some of the incredible things that her organisation and young people have been doing to use those compassionate values.
Thank you, Claire. As we can see, our compassionate values are powerful because they can create change. And for me, this is really seen through community care, because it can create shifts towards a more compassionate way of living in harmony with others and with the natural world. By allowing more space for our compassionate values, we can prioritise these things such as community care. And here are some examples of community care in action. So this can look like caring for your elders. Community care is really about reaching to all people in our community, including those of the older generation who perhaps need more support. It can also look like caring for our local natural spaces. The natural spaces we inhabit need our care and our attention. We are merely visitors here, and it is our responsibility to tend to these spaces. A wonderful way of supporting your local natural places could be through rewilding projects, which is on the rise in urban cities, such as through community gardens. And then finally, it can look like creating spaces for conversation and connection. The climate crisis is here now, but are we creating spaces for our communities to have conversations about how this is making them feel? Eco-anxiety is on the rise, and more people feel hopeless in the face of something which feels insurmountable. And by creating safe spaces within our communities through open conversations, we can create support networks which can tend to the web of our community. And more young people are prioritising compassionate values, and this can really be seen through climate action and through environmental work. So at Force of Nature, we've worked with thousands of young people who are really choosing to embody these values, such as care, unity with nature, compassion, and universalism. They're putting aside their, self-interested values and really prioritizing their compassionate values. And it is through these values that they are creating change, whether that's taking to the streets and protesting, whether it's setting up their own community projects, starting non-for-profits. There are so many ways that we can really turn to our compassionate values and from that place create action. And when we create action on a local level, compounded together, this is how we create global change and global impact. And these young people are really using their voice and using their actions and really embodying these compassionate values to create a better world. So what does power mean to you? And I guess, what does it mean to me? So for me, power is really about caring for the community. It's about putting aside those self-interested values and really putting at the forefront compassionate values of care, because really our community is everything. And if we all took the time to look after our local communities together, this can really create a lot of global change. But it'd be great to hear from you, Claire. What does power mean to you?
Yeah, I think that's great, Hannah, and it's so true that there's such power in community care. For me, I think there's such power in just being kind and a smile. There's such power in a smile, and I think we all have the ability to cheer somebody up with a smile, and it's really, really powerful. So we've got a lot of power in us, and we can use them through our compassionate values, but we'd love to hear from some of you. So you can either choose, you can take this activity away and have a think and reflect and a discussion about what does power mean to you, and maybe write a paragraph, write a poem, write a song, paint a picture. It's completely up to you. Or if you'd like to discuss and share in the chat now, feel free.
Perfect. We'll just give you 20 seconds to write in the chat if you choose to do so. Okay, wonderful. Hopefully you're coming to the end of writing, but I really do encourage you, as Claire said, to take the time outside of this presentation to really think about what power means to you and how you can put your compassionate values into action in your local community and in your everyday life. So we are coming to the end of this presentation today, and it would be great to share more about the work that both myself and Claire are doing within our own spheres of influence. So at Force of Nature, we offer training pathways for young people to support them in taking to the stages, consulting with businesses, or facilitating conversations about eco-anxiety. These trainings, which we offer for young people, include our Meadow training for folks who want to facilitate workshops on eco-anxiety. We also do a Canopy training, which supports young people to become youth consultants and speak with business leaders on topics such as sustainability. And finally, we also offer a training, which is our speakers training called the Dais, and this helps young people take the stages and deliver keynotes, join panels, and really have a seat at the table and have an influence on the decisions being made about their future. All of these trainings are completely free, and you can participate in the next round if this is something that really interests you. So please just visit our website and go down to the youth portal on that page, and you'll be able to find more information and sign up. And yeah, it would be wonderful to have you really shaping the future and putting into action those compassionate values which are so needed in today's world.
Amazing, Hannah, and I'd really encourage anybody who's watching here today to do check out that website that Hannah shared and get involved, because it's a really exciting opportunity to use the compassionate values that we all have and to make some real changes in the world. So do go and have a look. Now, if you are watching from a school and you're interested by what you've heard today and would like to explore more about values and create your very own project on an issue, a social or environmental issue that you care about, then the Dirt is Good project is for you. So teachers or students can go to the website up here, Dirt is Good, and we'll provide you lots of support to take action on an issue that you care about. And I've got a lovely little video to show you of some amazing young people who have been taking action through the Dirt is Good programme. So we're going to show this to you now and have a look at the incredible changes that they've been making using their compassionate values.
Our atmosphere is getting like hotter and hotter because of climate change. So we have been growing potatoes, as you can see here, so we can donate these potatoes to the canteen so we can lower our carbon footprints. Trees, we have grown pear, apple and plum trees. Trees generally suck in carbon dioxide and give out oxygen, and we want the school to have cleaner air.
For our project, we did litter picking. It's because the school was filled with rubbish.
But we also thought that if we could have something to repel that and just get something to use instead of water bottles and reducing that litter down.
My project is changing the food menu in the cafeteria, and I'm doing this so we could reduce the food miles in the school. So first we're going to start off with Free January and Meat-Free Mondays. We're going to talk with the cafeteria staff how we're going to give them vegan cookbooks for them to start cooking from.
a huge achievement, like when you see something that you've done that is like helpful to the world.
I feel happy and joyful that I'm actually changing the environment.
I care about climate change because it's kind of a big thing to me, with us having asthma and loads of air pollution and cars and stuff like that. The reason we did this is because we enjoy doing it and it's good for the environment and it makes the world a better place. I care about climate change because of the effects that happens in the world, and it affects lots of lives.
It's good to save this planet. It's in danger.
So we messaged councillor saying if they're doing anything for net zero. We decided to write to a councillor because they're the ones who are meant to care the most. For our project, we have been planting seeds, making seed bombs and planting trees.
We've planted these and we'll water them every Friday. Bees might be attracted to some of the flowers.
My favourite part about the project was doing the litter pick around the schoolyard.
My favourite part of the project was everything, just all of it.
I'm happy because I'm helping change the environment.
I feel very good to be on this project because I can help the world more.
The process of creating something, especially if it helps the environment in some way, feels amazing.
Great. So there we saw the power of coming together and using our compassionate values to create change. I'm going to pass back to Hannah, I think, to do a checkout.
Thank you all so much for joining us today, and we hope that you had time to really think about what your values are and how you can live more compassionate values in your day-to-day life. So our checkout for today is: what is one thing you will take from today's session? Really think about this and put it in the chat, and also maybe chat with your friends and your family about the conversations that were had today and the reflections that you got to sit with. We really encourage you to take this topic beyond just this presentation today and out into the world and into your local community. So if you could just share in the chat what's one thing you can take from today. And then we will close off this session. Wonderful. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today, and thank you for sharing in the chat and really being part of this community today. And yeah, want to thank Claire as well for joining me today and for being an amazing co-host with me.
Yeah, and thank you, Hannah, and to everyone that's joined in today. And we invite you to join the Youth Summit closing ceremony. All the details are up on the website, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye everyone.
Bye everyone. Bye now.